Has been struck. TikTok will no longer be on our phones from September of this year through March of 2026. They're going to be replacing it with a new version of the American TikTok app, and it's going to be called M. M is short for Meta. Oracle and a few other billionaires will be the new owners of TikTok. Here are the two things that is going to be coming along with that. You will no longer be able to see what's going on in the rest of the world because it destroys the government's narrative. And the U.S. government will now have full access to all of your data on TikTok, which is, if it's 130 million of us users here in the United States, that's a $3 billion a year sale of your data. That's what it's all about. Controlling the narrative for world views and your data. Don't get it twisted. It has nothing to do with national security. It has nothing to do with anything more than controlling the money and controlling the narrative.
Shalom. Before I start off, I'd like to first and foremost give our honor, glory, and praise to our Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakudash. Double honor to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone and taught us His truth and it will well, and peace and blessings to the elect of the nation of Israel, which consists of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad. All right. So as you've seen from the video, TikTok, okay, the app TikTok is going dark, so to speak. All right, and why this is, somewhat of a big deal is because you have a lot of whistleblowers, a lot of information that comes out on this platform. All right, a lot of information and news that come from that stem from media sources outside of the mainstream. Okay, and a lot of brothers, including myself, have used TikTok, all right, to get fed certain bits of information, all right, that mainstream media sources wouldn't cover. All right, and that's sort of been the thing. All right, one of the reasons why they want to come with censorship to this platform. All right, and ban it here in the U.S. All right, and I remember Trump. Right, he kept extending the ban. So I got an AI overview of the ban on Google. It says TikTok has gone offline for users in the United States as a ban on the app has gone into effect. This ban stemming from concerns about national security and data privacy related to TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance was upheld by the Supreme Court. While users were initially met with the message saying the app was unavailable, the app has since been restored due to a reprieve from the ban. Okay, and remember, you had a lot of people bugging out because the app was unavailable on the App Store. All right. On iPhone, you had a lot of users that still had the app. All right, but those that deleted the app weren't able to reinstall it from the App Store. All right, but that reprieve from the ban was extended a certain amount of days. Now, if you're asking yourself why something like this even matters, because, TikTok, you got a lot of people doing a lot of bugged out stuff on TikTok. You got a lot of people doing, a lot of folly. You got a lot of folly and ignorance on TikTok, as a social media platform. All right, but there's a lot of useful information coming off of it. So as far as censorship goes, censorship is going to go all across the board. The closer we get to Esau pushing his NWO, which he's fast tracking now. The days are being shortened. You know what I'm saying? You just had them come out and say how days are getting shorter. All right, social media censorship. What people are able to, search the internet for is going to be closely monitored and regulated. All right. Truth, any form of truth, is going to be pretty much scrubbed clean. All right. And they're going to be able to push their narratives. The main being this truth. All right. What the prophets of Yahweh Shem Shai are putting on the airways. All right. So, I use ChatGPT a lot to kind of dissect certain things, go into certain things. All right, so I looked up censorship and authoritarian regimes. Okay, because that's what this place is getting ready to be. All right, a technocracy. What defines a technocracy? Okay, has an authoritarian theme. But I looked up real quick, censorship and authoritarian regimes. Censorship and authoritarian regimes, Salaki, is a central tool used to maintain control over society, suppress dissent. Okay? And when you deal with that word dissent, or a dissident, right? Someone that goes against their narrative. Dissent. Express a different or contrary opinion or feeling. Withhold approval or consent. And this is pursuing the Edom online etymology dictionary. It says indirectly from Latin, dissentere. Differ in sentiments, disagree, be at odds, contradict, quarrel. Okay? Because as they continue to push for their NWO and push their harsh draconian measures and enact certain legislation, you're gonna have a lot of people opposing it. All right. And with the prophets, the men of the Lord, the mouth of Yahweh Shem Shai are speaking pertaining to the truth. All right, directly opposes their NWO, their enterprise. Okay, the agenda of the wicked. All right, Esau, Edom, beginning with the wealthy banking families. All right, of Esau. Okay, as we speak about life, man. All right, and we're ushering the kingdom of heaven, which they oppose. They want to come about with their own pseudo kingdom of heaven. All right, which they're gonna try to fight tooth and nail to keep their rulership in the earth. All right, and try to upset prophecy and stop themselves from going into captivity. Even trying to fight against the Lord. All right, so all that striving against him is all in vain. But they're getting ready to label a lot of so-called truthers and the prophets, the men of the Lord, as dissidents. Okay? Because the main ones holding the line are the men of the Lord, the prophets. All right. And they have to come about with their narrative. They have to spin the narrative and justify themselves and coming after the prophets. Going into the time of persecution, man. All right. The time of Jacob's trouble. You see? Because they're getting ready to come for all Jake. All right. As well as the men of the Lord. Okay. But pertaining to the scriptures, the men of the Lord are justified. You know? The Heavenly Father is going to fight for these men. All right. The Heavenly Father is also going to have a hedge about his elect. Right. Men, women, and children out there that wholeheartedly believe and subscribe to the 100% truth, man. The 100% doctrine of Yahweh Shem Shai through his men, the elders and apostles on down of Great Millstone. All right. So going back, you know, I typed in censorship and authoritarian regimes. It's like y'all keep messing that word up. But that's what this society is pretty much getting ready to be. See, democracy is just a facade. All right. Because they give you that illusion of choice. You know, the people have a say in what's, you know, who's elected in this society, who governs this society, all right, who the president, you know. But that's all set up by these elite, right? Which really the president of the U.S., he doesn't hold any, you know, real power or have any real say on what is mandated or what goes on here in this society. All right, the elites control that. He's controlled. He's just a puppet. But it says purpose of censorship and authoritarian regimes: preserve power, prevent political opposition to social movements from gaining traction. Okay? Now, when you deal with the truth, all right, remember, when you grab Revelation, the 11th chapter, scriptures talk about how great fear fell upon them, which saw them stand upon their feet. Here in these latter days, the Lord Yahweh B'Shem Shai has, through the spirit and power, all right, of Yahweh B'Shem Shai, raised up his men, okay, his prophets. Right, Luke 1:70, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. All right. See, pursuing what is that in Jeremiah? We went into captivity. All right. Here in these latter days, we've woken back up after falling away from our heritage, after being scattered among the nations. Okay. Our Lord Yahweh Shai, through our Lord Yahweh Shai, has raised up his men through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. All right, and we're speaking against this devil and against the heathen. All right, and that's leading to this man's downfall, as well as we're ushering in Yahweh Shai's return. But anyway, let me see. Let me get that in Revelation 11 and I'm going to get the point. Revelation 11:11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh entered into them. Yahweh B'Shem Shai, right? Entered into them. And they stood upon their feet in great fear. Fell upon them which saw them. Right? Because these heathen, they scriptures talk about, when you read up, they actually rejoice in us being in a dead estate. Right? He that wandereth out of the understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. That's in somewhere. No, forgive me, I forget where. And I'm merely paraphrasing. All right, but we were pretty much in a dead estate. All right, without the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of Yahweh Shem Shai, we forgot who we were. And we were calling ourselves misnomers. Right? Going by the bywords and proverbs, pursuing the curses written in Deuteronomy 28, right? and we fell away from our heritage. I think that's in Jeremiah. Jeremiah 17:4. And I could read it real quick. And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine inheritance which I gave thee. And I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled the fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. So because we transgressed the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shem Shai, we were scattered among the nations. The Lord brought us into captivity under the Assyrians, under the Babylonians, all right, under the Medo-Persians, under the Greeks, all right, and under the Romans, which through the fulfillment of NATO, the EU, and America, the Roman Empire came back. So here we are in these latter days, and we've woken up. There's been a great awakening to the truth, okay? So you have the prophets back in their stead. And guess what? Great fear fell upon them, which saw them stand upon their feet. So again, Revelation 11 and 11, and after 3 days and a half, that 3 days and a half is 350 years. From the time of the Atlantic slave trade, right, on to our elder Abba Bivens, who the Lord raised up, all right, who was Elijah coming back in the reincarnation, all right. The same was John the Baptist, okay. Our elder Abba Bivens, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai, was risen back up, okay, and paved the way for our elders, for our elder apostles and the elders on down, okay. So after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and it stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in the cloud, and the enemies beheld them. You could precept this with the Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter. Okay, it speaks about the strangeness of our salvation, because salvation is coming from the Lord's elect. All right, you have the 144,000 prophets, and you have the 1/3, the rest of the men, women, and children that subscribe to and wholeheartedly believe in the true doctrine of Yahweh Shem Shai. Okay? But elsewhere in the scriptures it say, through much tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom. So we're getting ready to go through a time of trouble. Jeremiah 37, a time like never before. Okay, and here we are in the land of our enemies. And as I told you, their enemies beheld them. Right? Great fear fell upon them which saw them. That's driving these elite banking families of Esau to pretty much make haste with their NWO and come for the Lord's people. All right, Revelation 12 and 12. The devil shall come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. So part of that is cracking down on so-called dissidents, those that directly oppose what they're coming with, their NWO and their agendas. All right? Because, again, the prophets are the main ones holding the line. The prophets set the tone for all these truthers that are out here to come with their bits of truth, right? Their information, and put it on TikTok, which, you know, that's really the focal point of this lesson, this whole ban that's going into effect. And they're going to be able to control the narrative, their narrative, with this thing going on with TikTok. Okay, but that's going to trickle down into all these other social media platforms. Okay, pretty soon, Amos 8 and 11 is going to be in effect. The famine of the hearing of the words of the Lord is going to go into effect, because YouTube has been the main platform used to push this truth throughout the internet. All right. So Revelation 11 and 12, It says, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And that's when the deliverance of the elect happens. Okay? Is you have the pretty much the icing on the cake. You know, the cherry on top of this place, America. The ICBMs coming down on this place to destroy it. Simultaneously, the Lord is going to beam up his elect into the ships. All right, so this deliverance out of this modern day Egypt is going to be greater than that of ancient Egypt. Okay, which our Lord, even he back then was in the midst. Okay? And when before it says a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. All right? But in these last days, as these nations are fighting this Third World War, he's going to make his return. Okay, he's going to come with, like it tells you in, Revelation 1 and 7, with the clouds, the chariots, his armada, his fleet of holy angels. And they're going to cover the skies, man. All right? The Lord's ship is going to cover this place. It's going to cover the earth. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and a 10th part of the city fell. The 10th part of the city is dealing with the whole landmass of America. The 10th part of the city fell. 10 is a number of completion, right? And that goes into the destruction of this place, America, by way of the thermonuclear missiles. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, a complete number. And the remnant were frighted and gave glory to the Most High in heaven. So where the remnant, all right, which is dealing with the 1/3, the elect, all right, and the 144,000 prophets, where are they gonna, because they're gonna be able to witness this. All right. It says, and the remnant were frighted and gave glory to the Most High in heaven, of heavens, Salakia. They're gonna actually see the destruction looking down from the ships. Revelation 15. And 1. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of the Most High. Again, the ultimate plague is going to happen by way of the missiles, the destruction. Okay? And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire. Because John the Revelator on the Isle of Patmos, he saw this. Alright? He's seen this. He had visions of these times that we're in now. Okay, he saw Esau pushing the chip, the hour of temptation, pursuing Revelation 3 and 10. Right? Revelation 13 and 16. Okay? He saw the elect and certain other men of the Lord that were slain for Yahushua, that were martyred, that didn't accept or consent to being chipped. As well as he saw their deliverance. He saw the Lord coming back. So it says, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire. He's looking at the destruction. He's seen the destruction in this vision. All right? He's seen the elect up there in the ships looking down at the destruction through the chariots. And then they had gotten victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark, which is the charagma, that chip. All right? Because that's what they're getting ready to push out here very soon. You know? It's just a matter of how they're getting ready to implement this. And nothing that they're doing is in their own time. It's all in Yahweh Shah's time. They think they're doing this of their own self, bringing this to pass. And they really think that they're going to solidify their rule in the earth and gain an advantage over the Lord's elect. It's not going to happen that way. You're not going to be able to chip the elect. So Lord willing, we're a part of. We want to be kept from that time. But they will be able to deceive 2/3 out here. All right? The scriptures go into their destruction. You know, those that take the chip are going to partake in that lake of fire. It says, and them that had got the victory over the beast and over his mark and over the number of his name stand on the sea of glass having the harps of the Most High. So John the Revelator, he saw the elect getting delivered out of this place, America, as well as the missiles coming down on this place and destroying it. All right? And how the elect were praising the Most High in the clouds. So, man, I'm kind of sidetracking. Let me go back. You know, it's an exciting time because we're seeing everything play out in real time. All right, again, with this whole TikTok ban, it's going to trickle down to all these other social media platforms. All right, and in the case of however they get ready to shut down the internet, because they're going to have to bring it back online. They're going to need it for this new system. But whenever this goes offline and comes back online, you can bet that any form of truth will be scrubbed off the internet. All right? So Amos 8 and 11, that time is coming. So as I search the purpose of censorship and authoritarian regimes, it says preserve power, prevent political opposition and social movements from gaining traction. Again, they're too late. This truth has been pushed throughout the whole earth. And as Yahweh Shai said, then shall the end come. All right? So elsewhere it tells you that the words of the Lord's mouth shall not return unto him void. Right? So the internet, which even these devils said that the internet should have never been invented, because it's been used to push the truth out. All right? And really, that was of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Hey, man's going to the other Lord. How can he understand his own way? You see? These devils think they operating in their own will. They think Satan not even with these devils, man. Satan got these devils in a trick bag. Spiritual demon Satan is operating. He's given the decree by Yahweh Shemel Shai to bring things to pass, to work with these devils. But Satan's not with these devils, man. That's what they're getting ready to find out. Their power is waning. You know? It says control narrative, shape public opinion by filtering or altering information. So they're going to scrub the internet of the truth. Pretty soon, you're not going to be able to go on YouTube. They may require the digital ID to even access any of the internet. Right? The chip. But best believe, once everything is back online, you're not going to be able to find brothers' pages. You're not going to be able to find the apostles' pages, certain breakdowns, because that would have been scrubbed off the internet. Look, they're already trying to censor what goes up. What goes up on YouTube and through the algorithm. You say certain things, your video is gonna get clipped. Your channel is gonna get flagged. You're gonna lose your channel. And so brothers have had to do or put out, certain, especially during the time they was pushing the jabs, man. Certain code words had to, you had to talk in code. You say the elect are gonna get it. But you see, soon enough, they're just going to do away with all of it. You're not going to be able to go back on the internet and find brothers' pages up. And that's them controlling the narrative. Certain outside media sources that outside of mainstream are bringing useful bits of information. outside of their narrative, that's gonna get clipped. And this is all that authoritarian theme. You know, this is getting ready to be a technocracy. But it says prevent dissent, stop the spread of ideas that can incite resistance or rebellion. You see, and with them getting ready to persecute the men of the Lord, they're gonna call us the dissidents, inciting rebellion or resistance, insurrection. You know, scriptures talk about how they make a man an offender for a word, suppress truth, hide corruption, economic failures, or human rights abuses. Them trying to cover their ass by taking down the videos that brothers are putting up, exposing them. You see, they're able to hide their tracks, but the truth is already out there. And people are now waking up to all the dirt that the small hats, Amalek, was behind. You get what I'm saying? The average citizen in America, you know, people that was, or people that still are, you know, pro-Palestine and shit, they calling out the Zionists. The scope is on you small hats, man. The average American is talking about, they ain't the real people. They're waking up. So they got to do something. And they know that they're going to have to tie it back to the prophets, man. Because the prophets are the main ones holding the line and speaking against this devil's corruption. So that bullet point says suppress truth, hide corruption, economic failures, or human rights abuses. It says methods of censorship, media control, state-owned outlets. Governments run TV, radio, and newspapers to spread propaganda. Licensing and regulation. Independent media requires licenses, which can be revoked arbitrarily. Banned topics, coverage of protests, government failures, or taboo subjects is forbidden. And I remember the brother out there with the Men of Valor, Bakar Moth, he went into how out there in the UK, I believe, there was protests going on, and they were actually able to go after people that were covering the protests, you know. But they're getting ready to do the same thing here, you know, cracking down on anything outside of their narrative and what they're pushing. Anything outside of what mainstream media is pushing. It says internet censorship, firewalls and filters block access to foreign news or social media, e.g. China's Great Firewall. Right, but that's where this TikTok ban comes into effect. Because see, they try to throw the guys on it and say that you know, with China being one of their enemies, say that it's being able to gather information on people in the U.S., you know, intrude on their privacy, so-called. But really, they want to crack down on it, the truth that's going up on that platform. It says content removal force platforms to take down posts or penalize users. Information flooding, news bots or trolls to spread disinformation or drown out dissent. Right, which you kind of have that now with all this AI generated shit that's going up. You know, Google just unveiled Veil 3, and you already have the internet filled with so-called misinfo, disinformation, right? With these AI generated videos and shit. And that's all done by design. It's not just something you look at and it's like it's like a you know, comedic shit that's going up, you know. But AI, you know, these AI generated videos are going to be used as well. That's going to play a part in them actually framing and coming up against the prophets. But now I just want to touch on technocracy, because that's what's getting ready to. That's what this society is. That's where this society is being directed, to technocracy. What is a technocracy? Technocracy is governments by technical experts, scientists, engineers, economists, and bureaucrats, rather than elected representatives or ideologues. It emphasizes data, efficiency, and rational planning over democratic debate or popular will. Overlap with authoritarianism. While technocracy can exist in democratic contexts, e.g. central banks or public health agencies, in authoritarian regimes, it often becomes a method of control rather than service. It says a way to depoliticize repression by framing it as scientific or neutral, a tool to justify surveillance, censorship, and social engineering. All right? Which all ties into these agendas that they're coming with. SDGs, right? Sustainable Development Goals, and what else? I think it's called, let me see. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, SDGs, adopted by all United Nations members in 2015, created 17 World Sustainable Development Goals. The aim of these goals is peace and prosperity for people and the planet, while tackling climate change and working to preserve oceans and forests. And that's just one part. All right, but as far as censorship, social engineering, and surveillance, we're gonna see. Because remember, you had Klaus Schwab talking about cyber. What did he say? A Black Swan event. Cyber crises. Right? False flag attacks. That could all be used to justify surveillance. Okay, censorship. All right. And what comes to that is they're gonna justify the chip, the RFID microchip being mandated. Okay. Because let's just say, again, bear with me a second. I believe in my last lesson, I was going into, what would be the circumstances in which there would be a need to mandate implantable microchips for all U.S. citizens. And one of the brothers in the camp, Yashalam, GMS Watchman, had did a similar video. And I just, searched it again. It says, hypothetically, there are a few extreme or dystopian scenarios in which such a mandate might be proposed, though it's critical to emphasize that no such mandate currently exists or is planned under U.S. law, which it has been planned. It's been planned for years. Okay? But we're going to see how it all comes to pass. All right? Because Habakkuk 2 and 3, the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. All right? So, the chip is on the way, man. All right? The chip is already here. Look at Sweden. their population is, the microchip, the implantable microchip is already they're already chipped up over there. They use it to open up they use it for access control. They use it to pay contactless payments. So people over there in Sweden are already chipped up, and that's become an integral part of their society. And that's what's getting ready to be pushed here. All right. It says, and it would face severe public and legal opposition. But that's why they want to kill a lot of people. That's why the Georgia Guidestones, remember the Georgia Guidestones, keep humanity under a certain number. Because they know not everybody's going to get down with this. But they want to kill off a mass number of people. It says, here are some hypothetical circumstances in which a government might attempt to mandate implantable microchips. National security crisis or authoritarian shift. This society is getting ready to shift into an authoritarian regime. All right, a technocracy. In an extreme national emergency, e.g. large-scale terrorism, bioengineered pandemics, or nuclear war, a government might justify such a mandate for tracking and identification of individuals, controlling access to quarantine zones, critical facilities, or resources, monitoring movement to prevent insurgency or internal threats. In the U.S., such a move would be likely unconstitutional under the Fourth Amendment, unreasonable searches and seizures, and possibly the First and Fifth Amendments. But hey, any brother that's watched the Star Wars films, them films are heavy. That dude Palpatine, his rise of power, becoming the Emperor. Yeah, I remember some deleted scenes in the third film, The Revenge of the Sith. He was like, there are times where we must all endure adjustments to the Constitution in the name of security. All right, so these devils don't look. The Constitution, the 13 Amendments. You Israelites out there don't understand. That was never in your favor. Hey, the typical Edomite out here, they're getting ready to infringe on all so-called rights that you people here in America thought you had. Because this devil, this is the reason why he's the serpent. There's a reason why he was more subtle than any beast of the field, than the Kosh back then, the diviner. Esau, Edom. It says, health and medical surveillance. In the case of a future global pandemic worse than COVID-19, some might propose microchip implants to store vaccination or immunity records. Okay, which remember, during the time they was pushing the CV, and they had the cards, the little punch card. People was getting pricked. They had recorded their dosages. So it says store jabs or immunity records, enable real-time health monitoring, right? Going in biometrics, which is the measurement of life. Being able to see your vitals in real time. They want all that because they want to be the Most High God on earth. That's their God complex. They want to know what you're doing in real time. They want to know what you think. They want to have insights to all this. Biometrics. All that, man. And they want to control you, ultimately. That's what it's all about, control over people, totally. Even controlling their spirits. Like they do with the animals and shit, man. They got fucking implants in the bugs and shit. They got chips inside the animals' brains. They want to control people. It says enable real-time health monitoring, automate emergency contact tracing. Even then, the U.S. legal tradition would demand voluntary consent, strong data privacy protections, and opt-out mechanisms. But there isn't going to be any opt-out. All right? The only opt-out you have would be being put to death. And hey, again, you have those that are going to get down with this system, those that aren't. They're either going to be exiled from this society, excluded, or put to death. All right? Yeah, it's written. Certain of the men of the Lord are going to be martyrs for Yahushua in this thing. All right? And they're going to choose rather to lose their life than to keep it and be destroyed. All right? Even then, it isn't our end. See, Esau think he's just going to chip everybody up and be set up high throughout all time. And his line, his generations are going to continue to rule. But the Lord is going to put his shit to a stop. He's going to put the monkey wrench in his plans. He's gonna throw the monkey wrench in them cogs. Stop all this shit, man. And when that happens, there'll finally be peace in earth.